Hey everyone, I'm going to do this while I can. I got literally about 48 minutes or less before my mom shows back up from her trip to Chicago seeing my nephew graduate out of Navy boot camp. So I thought I'd take the time to address something that ToaArcan, or TA for short, did. Now, I did this last night, but of course I was a little buzzed, so I didn't want to sound so nonsensical or anything. But Tor-chan basically did what he called, I guess, the first of many archive binges, or archive bins, if you will, as far as the comic is concerned. And I think he has it. I don't know. I don't think I favored it, so I have to go find it. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second here. No, that's not it. Here we are. Basically, he talked about the first 4 issues of the soft reboot and soft retcon. So let's see what do we have here. I think it's in here. Yeah, here it is. Basically, he talks about 252 to 256, and basically, TA says they went through the summaries of the new universe so they could be up to date. And so far, they think it's okay. Basically, they look at the first arc in this soft reboot retcon as being of this new world, or this soft rebooted, soft retconned world, as being overwhelming. It's sort of a overwhelming feel. Basically, TA didn't like the fact that, basically TA rolled their eyes, basically didn't like the fact that 252 was, as they put it, an attempt to pass off, was an attempt by Ian, I guess, to pass off 252 as the conclusion to At All Cost, which started in 247. They basically, TA basically mentions that, Mecha Sally would have been a better starting villain in the new universe instead of the Tails doll, and having Eggman basically have Eggman send her after, her father. Basically by having Eggman sending after her father, would not only have had some level of continuation, as they put it, from the dumb as hell plot point in the Prime universe, where she was supposed to kill Elias but didn't because he wasn't in the living room or whatever. But they point out would have provided some kind of ending to the 2 years of crap we had before. Now, they mentioned that the Tails doll was just something that didn't need to be in the comic in the first place, and that it was a dumb as hell attempt at a creepy pasty, or creepypasta, whatever you want to call it, that made it popular at all. And justifying that, and this is the words, justifying that by putting it in the comics was a mistake instead of closure. They got this Tails doll lame. So basically they feel that even though the new world is basically the introduction to the new world, the new Mobius Prime, if you will, was overwhelming me. The one thing that TA basically says here, and I think anybody might agree, was the fact that it would have been better to go Mecha Sally route instead of, Tails doll route. But we all saw what came of that. And yeah, it was just, and my response to this is, yeah, it probably would have been better, but I think when you take a look at fans like myself that may have been a little vocal on Sally being roboticized and weaponized, originally, Ian had plans of getting her back to normal. We just don't know what those plans are, and we may never will until Lost Hitchhik Tales comes out, whenever that is. But to me, we just got to, to me, I think we just got to kind of look at what would have been, and hopefully maybe have some kind of idea. Now, as far as the other stuff, like Mutsky becoming Ben Mutsky, yeah, that is a question of why. They're just, wondering why take Mutsky and turn him into an anamorphic Moby, and it just, just didn't make any sense to them. And I do agree with that. And another thing they point out is they don't think, when these first 4 issues came out, that they established enough about the new Freedom Fighters, or basically the new and improved Freedom Fighters, or whatever you want to call them. And they got other questions. One thing they point out about Amy is they don't like how, she kind of, well, basically this is what they say about Amy, what TA says about Amy, and they say, Amy, and this is what they say, and I quote, Amy really annoys me in her appearance in 256. I mean, more so than usual. Normally she just has an irating attitude, but in this story she's, well, a bit of an entitled you-know-what. And continuing on, I quote, rather than simply pouncing on Sonic and being irritating, she's demanding that he appreciates her. And this is what they say sarcastically, oh joy, we've gone from quote-unquote super perfect Amy Rose to 2004 to 2006 Sega Amy Rose. Basically the point when a character was an absolute narder, or whatever they call it. And they basically point out that Amy hasn't been worthwhile or likable since Sonic Adventure 2. And they're saying, so maybe putting her at that level would be a good start. Again, they asked the question of why on Big the Cat. And they do compliment Nicole, saying she looks really solid in her new look. Probably because it's just a new outfit. It's like it's the same Nicole design. It's Nicole. The only difference is she has a new outfit. They talk about Sally's reaction to her past self's actions as a Robian, as a weaponized Mecha Sally, and they basically say that it's what we would expect. That being a complete mental breakdown. Still holding the opinion that her treatment was extremely painful and invasive or whatever. And I said it in my review, pretty much text-wise and video-wise. I pretty much said it in my review. We everybody called it, and pretty much, when Bunny comforted her and said, hey, that was not really you. That was pretty much, using Bunny in a way of saying, of having the freedom fighters say, "Hey, we know that wasn't you. You would just not act. You that was not you. Period. You know, you just couldn't control your actions at the time." And then they say in closing, well, close to closing, um, they say that the comic flat out says that Mecha Sally didn't do anything worthwhile. And they point out, TA points out, Cubot, of all people, notices this. I guess Cubot's joining Boom Shadow in the completely break story with a single line of dialogue club. A character that I normally would not be able to stand, that I gained some liking for because he deconstructs something worse than he is with more ease than I could. That is TA's words, ToaArcan's words. And they also point out that Archie still finds loopholes in the quote-unquote no relatives rule. And they say in closing that Countdown to Chaos is full... no, this is what they say. They basically say that Countdown to Chaos in full is alright. They say it's not awful, but it's not good either. They say it's boring in places or annoying in others, confusing in still others, but it did at least try. They point out that it's certainly a whole lot better than basically anything in the main comic since 200, maybe 222. But then again, they'd rather play Sonic Spinball than read those again. And they basically say it's a step up from the whining days of old Archie, but still a long way to go before they call it solid. And like I said, I can understand exactly where they be coming from. I mean, you know, when you take a look at the first 4 issues of the soft reboot and retcon, it's, you know, it's not the best that you're going to get, but but I think a lot of people have to put into play what happened behind the scenes, because what happened behind the scenes really did affect a lot of what was supposed to be. So you got to really put that into play. You know, and you know, when you ask, and you know, when you take a look at the whole Mecha Sally deal, I mean, I know Ian, we all know Ian had something more planned for her. I mean, even Ace of Speed over at DeviantArt kind of drew up what she would have looked like. Maybe if she'd become so corrupt that even she wanted to overtake Eggman. But still, the point is, it's more along the lines of, basically it's more along the lines of ToaArcan, TA, I hope you're listening. It's more along the lines of, it's something that you just got to deal with. It's something that when you look at it in the long run, yeah, it happened. Yeah, it was alright. It's basically a solid step to being better than it was before. But you got to look at it this way. When you have to deal with a lawsuit that basically prevents you from going with the original plans, you have no choice sometimes but to alter those plans. And I'm sure Ian Flynn and his creative staff looked at what they did with the first 4 issues of Countdown to Chaos, and they probably thought to themselves, why did we do this? You know, why did we start this way? Why did we start 252 at all, the second part at all costs this way? Why did we do this? Why did we even do at all costs part 1 if we knew that wasn't going to have a proper conclusion? You know, there's a lot of questions people, you know, have to ask themselves and want to answer. Even those that work on the stories themselves. You know, I'm sure looking back on it almost 20 issues later, Ian's asking himself that question. Why? Why did I do this? Why did I call this at all costs part 2 when it's not really a proper continuation of what I originally planned? why didn't I make 247 at all cost part 1 in the first place anyway? You see, you got to look at all these factors. You got to look at these factors and realize to yourself that, yeah, you know, it may not be the best of what we got, but it's certainly a lot better than some people give it credit for. You know, if Ian's plan originally, with or without the characters that got taken away, put on the shelves indefinitely, if his plan originally was to simplify the stories even with those characters, then I think anybody that's been wanting a simplified characterization or simplified story has gotten it here with this new soft retcon reboot. So, despite how you might feel about it, ToaArcan, you know, and why certain characters are there when they shouldn't be, or why certain characters became the way they are when it makes no sense. Again, you got to take a look at, you know, what maybe Ian was originally planning. You got to take into account what happened behind the scenes and stuff like that. Excuse me. So with that said, that's all I'm going to really say in response to him. I'll provide a link down below so you can read it. And that's all I'm going to say, folks. So I'll talk to y'all later. Good night. God bless.